All right. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. We will be live at noon Eastern time. And I am going to go ahead and maybe cut down this, since we'll be doing a little bit of talking during pregame and we normally don't. I'll cut down this volume a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and run the background music. I just don't like to have dead air when I start the stream. So, because we do get people occasionally will come along and watch. So what part of Austria are you in?
I'm Austrian by nationality, but I live in Switzerland.
Oh, okay. All right. So what part of Switzerland are you in?
I am in middle Switzerland, about like central Switzerland.
Okay. Closer to Geneva, or what is it? Bern is.
I'm talking more about, for example. Wait. I'm talking more about Zurich, for example, or.
Zurich. Okay. Yes, Switzerland is lovely. It's a really, really beautiful country. I haven't visited there myself, but over here in the U.S., probably back a few years before you were born, it started to get very popular here to watch the Tour de France. Back when Lance Armstrong was competing, and he became like a big household name over here. And I always enjoy watching that race because it's kind of a travel log. You go to all the different see all the different parts of France, and then they always go into some other country. A lot of times they'll dip into Switzerland a little bit when they're over in the Alps, or they'll go into Spain or Italy. Or sometimes Belgium and whatnot. So it's always nice to see all those areas during the summer when they're doing the bike race and all of the historic stuff. I live in Florida, and I'm maybe a couple hours away from St. Augustine, and we always think of that as being old because it's the first contiguously inhabited city or continuously inhabited city in the U.S. from the 1500s.
What exactly is St. Augustine?
St. Augustine
or region?
It's in Florida, so it's maybe an hour south of Jacksonville, which is right at the right on the coast where Florida and Georgia meet. So it's the north part of Florida, and it's just maybe an hour and a half north of Daytona Beach. And I live in Orlando, so I'm about an hour to the west and slightly south of Daytona.
The size of the US always amazes me because I'm used to living in a very small country. And when you take that the state of Florida is essentially bigger than Switzerland, it's weird.
Yeah, Florida isn't very wide, but it's really long. And if you ever have to drive from, like, let's say Key West up to Pensacola, which Pensacola is at the very west end of the panhandle, getting over towards Alabama. And Key West is, of course, all the way down, out in the Gulf. it's about a 12 or 15 hour drive just to get from one end of the state to the other. And that's by no means the largest state in the country to drive through. It takes forever to drive through Texas. And then if you're going through California, north to south, that takes a really long time too. But yeah, the U.S. is it's very spread out in some parts, but it feels very cramped in other places. Like Florida is extremely built up, much more so than it was when I was young. There's probably, I don't know, I think it's well over 20 million people just in the state of Florida alone. And when I was young, it was probably about 8 million. So it's been a big population growth. All right, so let me see. Yeah, have you had a chance to look at any of the text channels? Because there's I created a lot of PDFs for this game and put them in the different text channels. So you'll see there's some notes basically on the different classes. There's a channel called Core Rules, which summarizes a lot of the rules. And I did that because I wanted this game to be something where people didn't have to go out and spend a bunch of money to buy old rule books in order just to be able to play this version of the game. I wanted just to give them the highlights, and then I figure, okay, if people continue to play all the time and enjoy playing, then they can go and buy rule books if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a text channel called Session Notes. After every session, I aim by the end of the weekend. Sometimes I don't always get around to it by Sunday night, but by the end of the weekend, I'll put up notes from the session, and that just sort of lets you go and recap and see what's happened before if you miss a session or something. So after today's session, if you want to go back and see what has happened in the game so far, you can just read through those old. Hey, LC.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Doing fine. LC, we have a new player today, Mark, who's joining us all the way from Zurich, Switzerland, or near Zurich, Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
How was your week?
It's been pretty good. It's my first week back at college, so.
Okay. Now, are you there as a student, or are you faculty or staff?
Student.
Oh, okay. What are you studying?
Planning on heading into engineering, but right now I'm just working on my general.
Okay. Are you at Utah there in Salt Lake City, or are you at one of the other universities?
I'm at a community college right now.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot cheaper just to finish my early classes and then move on to some.
Oh yeah, it's the same here. That's what I did when I got out of high school. Is I went to community college for a couple of years, got my AA, and then I said, well, Warrior was here, and now Warrior is. Hey, Warrior, we can see you, but it looks like you've got yourself muted.
Sorry, should I unmute? I didn't know if that was.
Oh no, you're in the right place. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Excellent. Well, so Elsie, we have 2 new players today. Say hello to Warrior Princess.
Hello.
Hello.
And where we also have Mark, who is joining us all the way from Zurich, Switzerland. So we've got
Oh wow.
yes. And Elsie's in Utah, and I'm in Florida. So we're just kind of all over the place today. Okay, Warrior. Actually, what would you like us to call you?
Oh, warrior or princess, either are fine.
Okay, Princess. That's fine. We'll go with Princess. I like that. So we have. I was telling Mark earlier that because the rules are so different for this older version of the game, I have been creating pre-generated characters and letting new players sort of try out a pre-gen character and get a hang of the rules and how things work in this edition of the game. And then if they like the game and they want to stay in the game, permanent character, and we will just transfer the experience you gained and any loot or items or gold that you gained over to your new character so that you don't lose anything. But you can then also have a character that's more what you really want to play instead of one of the pre-gens. We have now a dwarf. Mark is going to play a dwarf. We've got 2 elves that have been fairly regular players in the game. We have a warrior who's been fairly regular in the game. We have a cleric who normally plays with us, but he's got some family stuff going on, so he's stepped away for a few weeks. We expect him back at some point, but so we have a cleric, but he's not active at the moment. We do expect him back. The only thing I would probably try to steer people away from is another elf, since we already have 2 elves.
Don't
But the classes.
I never play elves.
Oh, okay. There's 7 classes to choose from in this edition of the game. It's a very poor game. They only had 7 classes and they only had 3 alignments. That's how poor they were when they started. And there's a halfling class. So if you play a halfling, you're just kind of a glorified mix of fighter and rogue. But every halfling player character is all the same. There's a dwarf class. There's the elf class. Those are all the demi-humans. Then all the other classes are human only. There's a magic user. Stand back and blow up things from a distance. Cleric, run around and smite evil and heal things. Fighter.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Fighter, run around and bash stuff over the head. And then thief, do all the sneak, stab, pick locks, open doors, find traps, all that kind of good stuff. So do any of those particular roles appeal to you, Princess?
I'm gonna cry. They didn't have paladin back then.
I think
They
they do have a paladin.
And not in this edition, but you can definitely play a cleric as a paladin if you want.
What are the 3 levels you get when you become a high level fighter? Because there's Avenger.
Wait. Yes. Okay, high level. I take that back. When you can specialize as a fighter, and so yes, you can become a paladin, but not right off the bat. It's like you have to wait until you're your 9th or 10th level to become a paladin. But yeah, you can definitely say that you are on that path, that your character has a background. If you wanted to start with a fighter, you can always have multiple fighters in a group, because you always need people to go in and beat up the monsters. And the elf class is a pretty good fighter as well. It can be, especially if you get a decent dex score.
I am back.
Okay, all right. Welcome back. So am I hearing that you kind of like the idea of fighter, Princess?
I do, as long as
Okay.
it's close. It's gonna be pretty interesting because one thing I love about paladins is that they can go in there as like a tank, but also heal. So I'm gonna miss that a whole lot. But
Yes. Now you are in a friendly town with a friendly church, and since we started off with kind of a slow, this campaign has been kind of a slow ramp up in terms of regular players. So they did get a few healing potions to start off from the cleric at the church. So that will probably be a possibility. I am going to go ahead and edit the pre-gen fighter, and I am going to your Tenagni or Tene. How do I pronounce your
Tananya, but you can call it
Tenanye?
10.
10.
Or you
Okay.
can call me 10.
All right. And you should now have a pre-gen character. After this session, like I said, figure out what you want. The token is just going to be a placeholder, so you can play this fighter as a male, as a female, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna be like, no.
No. And you can also, I believe I've now given you the ability to edit the character. You should see it in your journal. You can also change the name if you want to change it. But for right now, it's just, all these names are just what the Roll20 random generator cooked up. And I said, all right.
I want to keep the name. The name sounds awesome.
Salvador. Oh, hey, Lo is back. Hi, Lo. We have, I'm not going to type and tell you, Lo. We have some new players. So we're just getting those 2 players set up. And once we are ready to go, we will go ahead. Hey, Akio. You snuck in there. How are you doing? Oh, Akio's muted. Okay. Well, because we
Hope
do
he's
have...
okay.
Yeah.
I'm only
Yeah.
muted because I'm having really crazy connection issues. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you'll be able to hear me.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you just fine.
You are a bit quiet, but other than that, you sound fine.
Yeah. That's a good point. Let me go ahead and stop the music. And for everybody who is not aware on Discord, if somebody's coming in a little bit quiet, you can go to your voice channel and you can right click on that person and you can adjust the user volume. So if Akio's coming in a little quiet, you can maybe bump him up a little bit. I'm going to do that here. I'm also going to go over to my stream user, and I'm going to bump up the volume a little bit on Akio so that he comes through a little bit more clear on the screen, on the stream today. All right. There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is DM Galabond, and this is session 12 of the History of D&D. History of D&D is an original D&D rules game going all the way back to the days when D&D was so poor they had only 7 classes and only 3 alignments. And right now, most of our players are first, or most of our characters are first level. LC, playing Siren, has participated in most of the games, and therefore he's accumulated. Now, I think we saw something after last session, LC. Did you gain enough experience after last session that no matter which thing you're using, you're now level 2?
No, I'm still below level 2. I'm like
Okay.
200 XP away.
Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. We're experimenting with a couple of different paradigms of leveling. I have been thinking that for levels 1 through 3, I want to follow the original paradigm, which in this edition was every class levels at a different rate. Some classes need 1,200 experience points to get from level 1 to level 2. Other classes need 4,000 experience points to get from level 1 to level 2. It was really different, and as I'm looking at a campaign arc that's going to take us all the way to the highest tiers of this game, I don't want to fool with different rates of leveling all the way up. So I created, which caused confusion, so that's my part, my bad. I created a unified leveling matrix, and based on that, Siren would have had enough to go to level 2, but at the beginning of the game, the people who started said, "Oh, well, let's see what this different rates of leveling feels like for the first few levels." I said, "All right, everybody's going to have their own leveling matrix for levels 1, 2, and 3. But once we hit level 4, we're going to unify everything. That just makes it easier on me building encounters so that I don't have to deal with one character that's level 2, another character that's level 5, and then trying to put the right mix of monsters so it doesn't kill half the party with the first attack." And so that's mainly why I like a unified leveling matrix. Is just keeps everybody going at a fairly consistent rate once you get a little higher. But last time in session 11, we were at the Moat House, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us over so we can see that particular map. We were on the ground floor of the Moat House at the end of the session, and I'm going to you will notice once, if you zoom out a little bit, you'll notice there's a whole boatload of people on the map. There were a bunch of guards who came to help the party because the party had run into a lot more issues in the basement than they realized. And when they freed some prisoners and 3 of the guards went back to town, they said, "Hey, we really need some help out there." So 3 of the village council members, Zert and Elmo and Tusk, they all said, "All right, we're going to put together a posse and go out and help these boys." What they didn't realize is that the party members had run into a group of gnolls who were very unhappy with the status quo and were quite easily swayed to turn against the other denizens of the down below and became allies of the party, especially since our elf, Siren, actually speaks Gnoll as a language. So he was able to he was able to sort of win them over, and they became essential allies. So the big bad of the Down Below turned out to be this fellow here named Lareth. And Lareth is a cleric who wears, like all of the other evil denizens, wears a symbol of Bargle. And for those of you who are new to the game, I actually have a handout for that. I'm going to throw this out on the map and I'll show it. So Bargle's symbol looks a little bit like that. It's purple and black, has some dots on it, and has some crazy lines on it, and a pentagram on it, and everybody's trying to figure out what that means. And at the end of last session, the party had just subdued Lareth, gotten his guards to surrender, and they were getting ready to do two things, which is to question the cleric that they have captured, and also to resolve what's going to happen with their temporary Knoll allies. So let me go and bring out to the field. I will bring our dwarf out. Whoops. And this is there we go. And we're going to put him there. So here is our dwarf, and then we have Salvador, our fighter, our new fighter, and this is going. Whoops! Come on. This is Salvador, and Salvador does not have that many hit points. Okay. All right. And we can now see his name, or her name. Okay, so we've got Salvador and gentleman Omu and Siren. These two are clearly not town guards, but it looks like they came with the guards. So at some point, you guys will probably want to chat with them. And meanwhile, Siren, I think you were up because you wanted to get the questioning going. I will leave it up to you. Do you want to meet these new potential party members first and then do the questioning? Or what would you like to do?
Yeah, let's meet the new party members first. That makes sense.
Okay, sounds great. Well, going by the order that they appear on my Roll20 screen, Princess or 10, go ahead and tell us a little bit about Salvador, and then you can also pop out of character if you want and tell us a little bit about the player behind Salvador. That's up to you.
Oh no. Oh, okay. Well, 10, and you can call me either 10 or warrior or princess, whatever you're comfortable with. I am, as of now, 17. I say that like I haven't been 17 for months, but I have, and it was interesting hearing somebody else talk about going to community college, because I'm doing, and an interesting experience. But you guys didn't come. Character is, if you can look on the screen, she looks like that. I would say going with, I've been where I enjoy having characters who are like connected in a way. So I've had this group of sisters, and they all kind of go the line of either paladin or cleric. So it was interesting to me now to get. I am not able to be paladin, so it was like, oh, okay, because I've never been a fighter before. So this should be very interesting for me. Not far from paladin, but it's also just something that I'm excited to find that out, figure that out. That's what I mean. So I don't even know how to pronounce the name that was given to me.
Okay.
So
I've been pronouncing it Salvador, just like Salvador, but with an X.
It like, and it sounds awesome too. And I don't mind that it's probably considered a girl's name. It just looks so cool. So going with the way I've had it so far. So she has 6 sisters. Grew up on a farm. I would say in the line of everything, she would have to be the third oldest sister. So she has 2 older sisters, and I mean, maths 2 younger sisters. No, 3. I'm a genius. 3 younger sisters.
Okay.
I think that's everyone's time. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Yeah. 10, your audio is a tiny bit robotic, but hopefully that'll clear up. That's probably just some network stuff going on. I don't know if there's anything you can do about it on your end. Probably not. But
Let me see. Just give me a moment.
okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and you know what? Well, I am going to do DM Fiat, and I am going to change the name here to Salvadora to make it more feminine. And then I will upload. I see she's changed her image, but that didn't transfer to the token, so I'm going to go ahead and update the token for her. All right. While I'm doing that, Mark, tell us a little bit about the character that looks to me like it's Wohip for now. What would we see when we see your dwarf?
He's currently playing as a cleric, and I haven't made the rest up yet.
Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, in this game, a dwarf is a dwarf. There's no such thing as a dwarf cleric or a dwarf fighter or a dwarf rogue in this edition.
I know, but you can like choose what kind of specialization you want, I guess.
It's a little bit limited with the demi-humans in this edition. So you can certainly play a religious dwarf, but mechanically he won't gain access to spells like a cleric would. So just keep that in mind. If at some point when you create your permanent character, if you decide to stay with the game and you create a permanent character, if you want to be able to have cleric spells, then you'd want to build a character of the cleric class in order to be able to do that. So let me go ahead and upload this image for our character here. And I am going to bring Salvador out here. I will do Salvador, and I will edit. Remove that template and then use the selected token. Excellent. Okay, so, and it's 8 and AC is 5. Okay, 8 and 5. All right, so 8, 8, 5. This represents Zaladora. And we can now see. Okay. And I will go ahead and get rid of that old token. All right. There we go. Zaladora, I just fixed your token so that we are seeing the character image that you uploaded for the portrait on
Thank
the
you.
token. Oh, no problem. No problem.
Oh, is this audio better or is it still?
Oh, yes. It's much better, much clearer.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and since we do have new players, LC and Accio, let me just go to you, LC. Tell our new players a little bit about you. And
Yes. So Siren is an elf. As far as elf goes, he's pretty youthful looking with short raven black hair. Right now, he's decked out fully in some plate armor, wielding a very fancy looking shield and a pretty mundane spear. And then on top of his armor, he wears a fairly normal black cloak. Or brown cloak, I should say. Sorry. Other than that, he looks like he's been through quite a lot. He's pretty badly injured. His face is all scraped up. He's breathing very heavily, having died a couple of times this adventure.
yes, been reduced to 0 hit points a couple of times.
Yes.
All right. And Accio, go ahead and tell us a little bit about Omu.
So, also I got a new headset. I will mention, by the way.
Oh, wonderful.
Let me know if
Okay.
the sound is better.
Oh, yeah.
Omu is a caravan guard, or was one. He probably looks like a pretty ordinary type of fighter. I mean, his stats are not far off the standard town guards and sergeants that we've had around. But I don't really mind how people imagine it, but I happened to roll, even though I rolled 4d6, drop lowest rather than 5d6. Omu is maximum charisma, the highest that you can roll at level 1. So whether that comes through as he is especially comical and a figure of fun, whether it means that he is perhaps very handsome, I leave it to the player's imagination. But aside from that, Omu is pretty ordinary, and he's so far proven himself to be loyal to Siren, I would think, but not necessarily actively seeking out danger and death, is the kind way to put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, mechanically throughout the ages there and throughout the different editions of D&D, there have been different interpretations of exactly. Yeah. With charisma, the one consistency is that charisma always helps with personality stuff. So you can think of a charismatic person as someone who's just sort of a natural leader. He or she, a person with high charisma, he or she is one of those people that walks into a room, whether it be a business meeting, a party, or whatever, and starts throwing out ideas or throwing out suggestions, and everybody in the room is like, oh yeah, hey, let's do that, and just sort of can naturally lead people. So you don't necessarily have to think about that. I like your interpretation, Omu, where each individual person can sort of imagine that 18 charisma, what they like. But for your interpretation and how you want to play that off, one of the advantages mechanically that Omu will have with a high charisma is sort of having that natural leadership quality. So he may have been somebody who, when the caravan was attacked, his quick thinking sort of helped to reduce the number of casualties, and maybe just sort of his personality was what led people to capture him instead of immediately just putting him to the sword like the rest, because maybe they had thought, oh, that guy looks like a leader, he may know more about what's going on, and they wanted to question him for that reason. So that's part of it all.
Even though
So-
he absolutely wasn't a leader and didn't know more of what.
Exactly. It's just sort of you can't help it. You're just that person. Everybody's like, oh, hey, Omu, what should we do?
Yeah, I know you.
All right. So Siren, we now have Lareth. He has taken some wounds such that he's got enough arrows in his legs that his knees aren't working properly. He's sprawled on the ground. He's been jumped on by the city guards and tied up. They've got his hands bound so he can't be twiddling his fingers and doing any of that foul magic like he did last time to cover the battlefield in darkness. And he appears to be on death's door, but they're keeping him alive so he can be questioned. So what would you and Omu like to do? Oh, yeah, and then 10 and Mark, just make sure that with your icons that I have here on the screen for you, just make sure that you can drag those around and move them so that you have control over those characters. I think I have them set up. Yep,
Yep,
okay,
I can.
Great. Wonderful. So, Siren, it's to you.
All right, then. Well, Omu, I know how much more charismatic than you are than me.
I might also be more relatable to the guy. He is human, isn't he? The mean, evil priest.
Oh, yes. The evil priest, Lareth, he is human.
I guess we
Okay,
could good cop, bad cop this.
Yeah, and we can make up all kinds of crazy shit about what you'll do to him. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Are Zert and Elmo okay with that?
Zert and Elmo seem pretty pleased that you have managed to do that. So they're, for right now, they're kind of just standing back, looking intimidating. Given him the strong silent treatment, so that, and they're willing to let you all take the lead in the interrogations.
So I think I would probably start off by asking. So we have Bargle's symbol, and we know that a collection of creatures, humans, gnolls, even an ogre, were in the employ of Bargle in one sense or another. What is the purpose of occupying this mill at its lower levels? Why was it done? What was the benefit?
And Lareth, he looks up at you and he sneers and he says, "You do not know what powers you are messing with. You should pray that Our Lady takes you before you can scream."
Who is your lady? Is that like a female deity that you worship, a goddess, or are you speaking of a somewhat mortal woman?
She is the goddess whose name my lips are not worthy to utter.
Interesting. Uh, how did you come into this profession? What kind of question is that? That's such a modern, like. So, how did you get into the evil?
Are you
priest
interviewing him?
What's
Yeah,
your
I
biggest
know.
weakness?
It's really turned into. So, okay, all right. And
Well-
can you give me like an example of where you had to use your evil priestly skills to overcome?
Have you
a
done
challenge?
any internships for us? Like,
Oh God. Okay, this is.
I mean, like I would love to retract it, but that's kind of the fun of D&D, and that like I feel like it now that it's out there, it's kind of canon. So yeah, I do. I would ask him, how did he get into this? Like, how did this happen? You know, is he like was he a priest of another kind that was tempted away from his main faith, or was he taken as like an urchin, and this was the only way that he could get bread and soup, was to serve an unusual and strange church?
And he says, she is the only hope for the Sylvan Empire. We all know that the Empire is on the decline. That's because our rulers are corrupt and the elves have lost their way. Our Lady will restore purity to the elves and will choose those proper to command. Mere humans like you, and he points at Omu, and like me, are worthy only to serve. And it is the lost, pathetic ones, and he points at Siren, like this one, that have allowed the Empire to decline. When Our Lady is in charge, the pure will rise, and the Sylvan Empire will take its rightful place to rule all the kingdoms of the world.
DM,
Settling.
does this sound like any elven deity that I'd know of?
Go ahead and give me an intelligence check, and we'll see what it is you may know from.
Barely scraped by.
13. Okay, you're thinking through all the deities that you know, and for the new players, we're co-opting the Greyhawk pantheon for this game, and I believe there's a document in the core rules folder in Discord that lists what all those deities are. If not, I'll make sure I put one in there. But it doesn't sound like anything that that is traditional for the elven deities. From what you know of imperial history, which for a 13 you basically know what everybody knows, is that the elves consider that they were the firstborn of the sentient races that appeared in the world, and they began exploring and expanding, and at some time later they ran across dwarves, and then eventually they ran across humans, and they ran across halflings. And the attitude of the elves was always, oh, well, we want to help these races and nurture these races and guide them, not tell them what to do, but just sort of help them get along. And then let them find their own way, but always be wary. Make sure they're not gonna start trying to take over everything. And humans, being the shortest lived of all of the major races, they multiplied much more rapidly, and so they have become basically the dominant population group. But within the structure of the Sylvan Empire, they have not ever tried to revolt, because it's never been a situation where the elves make themselves feel holier than thou and try to tell everybody else what to do. It's like when there are individual humans that show themselves capable of leadership, well, they rise in leadership in politics and military, in the churches, in in all of the other aspects of life. So everybody's pretty much got equal opportunity in the Sylvan Empire. This sounds like, ethnic and racial bigotry of the worst kind, based on what you know of the traditions of the Sylvan Empire.
And also, within the Sylvan Empire currently, it's almost like it's almost like a kind of late Holy Roman Empire type situation, where within the empire you may have duchies that are predominantly human, but they are within the kind of the aegis and the sort of the elves.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, there's the royal family is elvish, and the imperial family is elvish, and it's kind of a hereditary. Most of the nobles are ancient noble families that are elves. There are some noble dwarven families. There are some noble halfling families. There are a few noble human families that, as time went on and their ancestors were, heroes or significant contributors of things, they were recognized and raised to the level of nobility by the emperor. There's senators from across the empire that are of all the races. So, like you say, there's some enclaves that are primarily dwarvish, so they may have a dwarvish senator. There are some places where it's predominantly human, but they will elect an elf or a dwarf or even a halfling to be their senator, because that's just the right person for the job. That's pretty much the races all get along fairly harmoniously at this point in the empire. But yes, you do know, and even Omu would probably know. Actually, give me an intelligence check, Omu, just to make sure that I don't tell you something that you wouldn't know. Okay, there he goes. Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess you don't know.
That is classic Omu.
You're like something about that doesn't sound right, but you can't really put a finger on what it is.
Sure.
It doesn't sound right. Okay.
It's also funny how Omu's his first charisma roll, even before when I was just using the pre-gen, it was like a crit success, absolute best you can do, and every intelligence check has been a fail. So he's like, I don't know, he's like Duff Man from The Simpsons.
He's Zoolander.
If I may ask, sorry to interrupt everything.
No, that's fine.
Whom is whom on the board?
Oh, okay. I will go ahead. This is Siren.
Okay.
Painting Siren. And then Omu, can you move yourself around a little bit?
Yeah, Omu.
Okay.
Omu probably right
Yeah.
now, and that I guess that's accurate. Omu is just wearing a really similar set of armor to most of the town
Okay.
Yeah, I
guards.
was just like, oh, okay, that's just a group of guards.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Omu. This is the guy they are questioning. And then the 3 members of the village council are Zert, Elmo, and Tuck right there. And then, of course, there's Wohip and there's Salvadora. I hope you don't mind. I said, all right, you're playing yourself as a female, so I just threw the extra A on there, Salvadora.
Oh
to
no,
make it
it's
sound a little more
perfect.
feminine.
Thankfully, I was like, oh, I didn't know there was an A in it. I legit didn't notice that you put it there.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I'll just call her Dora. That's so much easier.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent. Okay, so Dora, that's wonderful. Okay, so yeah, that's basically who is who. Everybody else is an NPC.
Question.
Sure.
Since I'm a cleric, could I be able to figure out what deity this guy's talking about? Since
Well-
that guy, they hear me.
We hear you. We hear
Okay.
you. You can do an intelligence check and see if if you open your character sheet in this edition,
Mm-hmm.
then you just go to the main tab, and there's a little under the abilities section, there's a little dice next to each one. If you just click to the dice to the right of intelligence, it will roll an intelligence check and tell us what it is.
The dice.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to, since
I don't see a dice. I'm at the attributes and abilities section, and well,
Yeah. Okay,
It's like a little D20 looking symbol.
It's underneath the main
Oh.
tab, not the skills tab.
like that.
I believe that's it. Yes, exactly. Okay. 11. So for the new players in this edition, one of the things that's a little different. Normally in later editions of D&D, the higher your number is, the better. But in skill checks and ability checks in this edition, you want to hit your number or lower. Attack rolls, high numbers are still good, but skill checks and ability checks, low numbers are good. So an 11 matches your intelligence, and no, this doesn't sound like any deity you've ever heard of. At least not any deity that is that is worshipped in the common temples. There's always cults to weird, crazy stuff that pops up from time to time, but most people, unless they make a specific study of the occult, they don't know about those. It doesn't sound
y'all
like
started
anything.
early.
No, we started at 12 at noon, like usual.
Oh, that's 11 my time. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, welcome. This is Wes. Welcome, Wes. How you doing?
Doing good. How are y'all doing?
Doing well. Okay.
Much better than last weekend with the storm.
Yes. Let me see. No, I don't know if I have you out on the board at the moment. You are playing Sylvia, right? So let me get Sylvia out here. Okay, and I will show Sylvia's name and let you. Okay. So Sylvia, you're right here now, out on the map, and we have 2 new players with us. We have 10 playing Salvadora, and we have Mark joining us from Zurich, Switzerland, playing Wohup the Elf. So, and everybody is questioning Lareth, the evil cleric that was captured during last session. And I guess we're not going to have Frodo today, so I'll just throw him on the DM layer. Because Tony's still dealing with some stuff. All right. So, Siren and Omu, I guess you were questioning, or did I answer your question, Mark?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Okay, go ahead, Wes.
I was just gonna ask. So our evil priest has said that he will not give the name of this deity. I was just asking then, is there any sort of phrase or what do you call it in literature, cognomen, that she goes by, like she who thirsts or she in the darkness? Is there, how do you know who you're referring to? What if there's just a woman in your organization? How do you know you're not talking about her when you say she? Is there a way that you refer to this deity that you're following?
And he looks at you and he spits on the ground at your feet and he says, "Non-believer, you don't deserve an answer to your question. You're pathetic."
I note that you said that the elves are the only ones worthy to reclaim control of the Sylvan Empire. And, well, they already control it, but to really claim control of the world. But then you referred to Siren very disparagingly. I mean, he's an elf. He's... why not at least try and explain to us the doctrine and the dogma? We might be interested.
He consorts with filthy humans like you. He lets you take a position equal to him. He is no true elf. He does not command here.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I've pretty much followed Siren's instructions this entire time. So if you really wanted to, if you squinted, you could argue like Siren has been in command.
Well, so you're one to talk. You work with filthy bugbears and gnolls. And you talk about me working with dirty races.
I do what is required in the service of Our Lady, whose name my lips are not worthy to speak.
Really? Because it sounds like you're just a messenger boy for Bargle. He doesn't seem to care much for you if he just let you rot here while we take care of everything.
Bargle has been set above me by the grace of Our Lady, but he is yet just another foot soldier like me, who's only worthy to serve at the whim of those Our Lady, whose name my lips are not worthy to speak, has chosen to lead us.
Sylvia says, Bargle is a buffoon. If you're following him, then you must be a...
And then he looks at you and he sneers and he says, "Another filthy non-believer. You will be consumed and cast away when my lady's chosen ascend the throne and return the Sylvan Empire to its rightful place of glory."
You sound like more of a true believer than Bargle ever was, and probably a lot more confident.
I obey as I am commanded. Now, I tire of this questioning. So, Slay me if you will, or let me go at your peril. But I have said all I will say to you.
Well, I believe that. You guys, are we okay with throwing him down the well? The monster-infested well we found?
Straight into selecting the method of execution. Okay, yeah, I believe him. All right, just throw him down. How about the well full of monsters? We could throw him down. Or how about, could we, while he's alive, can we have a couple of guards grab him, restrain him, and can we look through his pockets while he's alive? So if we find anything of interest that is worth asking him about, he's, you know what I mean? He's there conscious for us to go, what is this map? What is this key? Or whatever.
Absolutely, you may do that. That is, in fact, a really great idea. So let me go over here and okay. All right. So, he has on him, when you see underneath his robes, he has very shiny looking plate mail. He also has a very intricate looking staff. It is a staff that has a bit of an odd motif at the top. It has 8 little tiny quartz gems, and you think they're quartz, you think they're not really worth much of anything, they're kind of like more decorative. And then it's got what looks like fangs, and then etched into the shaft of the staff are what look like sinuous lines. You're not quite sure. You'd have to study it a little bit to see if there's a pattern to that design or not, but just kind of like sinuous lines that are on that staff. And it's all black. And those little quartz gems at the top are clear. That's the only other thing that you have. You also see that in his pockets what has he got in his pockets? He carries a small pouch of leather that clinks with coins and has a bulge like a gem, perhaps, in it. You're going to open that and take a look at it?
I would, honestly, maybe dumbly, I'd be like, oh, that's, you know what I mean? That's money. I probably wouldn't open it.
Okay.
But because it seems like it's self-explanatory, you know? It's only the player right now, me in real life, that's going, oh, he asked if I wanted to open it. I must open it. But you know what I mean? I think I would have been like, no, he's got a purse.
All right. Okay, that's fine.
So this staff, 8 quartz gems on it.
Yes.
And some fangs.
Yes, and if you look at,
go on, sorry.
Mechanically we don't have a cleric. Thematically, we have a dwarf who has studied religions. He's already checked to see if he knows anything about this lady whose name Lareth is not worthy of speaking, and he doesn't know anything about it. Probably some cult.
Sylvia, take a look at the staff, see if it's magical in function.
Sylvia can. Does she have detect magic as her spell of the day, or one of her spells?
No. Well, you know, she's got a spell. She's got detect magic is her spell actually.
Okay, so if
no,
you
sleep
want
is
to
her spell
use it,
prepared for today.
oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to let you make an intelligence check, and because you're checking to see if something seems magical, you'll have to get a really good check on it. So it'll be kind of a high DC. Let's see what the.
Oh, I thought you wanted to roll low, like roll less than your intelligence.
Go to your character sheet. Actually, 1 is good, but actually, if you go to your character sheet, there's a place that you can do a check. But we'll take the 1. Yes, a 1 is extremely good. A 1 is extremely good. Yeah, you have heard about magical staves before, and this seems like it probably would be magical. Of course, to confirm that, you'll have to do a detect magic on it. But it seems like it probably has magical properties. And as you examine it, Wes, since you were a little late, I'm going to throw this up on the image again. You notice something about the pattern in the way those 8 gems are arranged. And you notice that the way those gems are arranged, they're arranged in the same pattern that the 8 dots on the symbol of Bargle are arranged, where there's 2 slightly larger quartz gems. There's 2 that are a little bit smaller above it, and there's 4 that are tinier than all the rest below it.
They're like the staff, and you mentioned it almost as stylized as if there are 2 fangs. And what color is the staff? Is it white? Is it black?
It's black.
How do we feel? Or the mill here, it's a little bit, it had been abandoned or at least left kind of dilapidated for some time. Is that right?
It's actually a moat house.
It's a moat house, sorry.
Yeah, it's a moat house, which means that it was kind of like a base for a forward garrison. And yes, it's been abandoned for about 50 years. It was connected with some people that were giving the town of Dedale trouble a couple of generations ago. And eventually the town got fed up. They rose up, they came out, they sacked it. And then it kind of got overgrown in the fen and the swamp. And then apparently a few months ago, these bandit raids started happening on the roads. And that's when Zert, doing his patrols out in the woods and examining everything, he was able to trace those bandits back to this location. And that's what kicked off this whole campaign, was them looking for adventurers to go try to deal with the bandits. And that has led to uncovering something a little bit more than just simply the bandits, obviously. So there's something more connected with that. So
I'm not going to Google this, because I'm just going to try and use, my life knowledge as an ordinary person, which probably is a little more than Omu would have, but you never know. Don't those dots and the way that they're stylized and the way that those quartzes are on the staff, plus fangs, couldn't that be like an arrangement of spiders' eyes? Because they have, I think in many cases they have 8, and they tend to have 2 very big ones and a number of peripheral ones for additional vision. Do we think that's what this is? And does that trigger anything off from my friends? And I would say that. As I was looking at the staff, I'd go, these look like spiders' eyes. And I sort of, we're saying that, in front of the guy, to Sylvia, to Siren, if that kind of makes them spark off any additional thoughts. And certainly, if the evil priest is about to react suddenly at the spider comparison, then sure.
Okay, I am going to roll something for the evil priest. Okay. Yeah, the evil priest, his eyes kind of, when you mention spider, his eyes kind of narrow a little bit.
Mm.
And Siren, it's been weeks of actual game time, but in the game it's been only a day. You do remember that when you were here before, you all found and fought a giant spider in this turret over here.
Oh, actually, I wasn't there for that episode, but thank you for the reminder.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So you weren't there, but okay. Since Devlin's not here, then yes, you do know that they found and fought and killed a giant spider over there. So you would think, oh, gosh, yeah, okay. Kind of reminds me of that.
And then I guess I would ask him. Well, unless does that give anyone any other context? Is there anything else that in game anyway their characters are able to go, spider? Now that clicks things into place.
Well, there's a giant spider in the turret over here that we killed.
And I would say to him, is your to the evil priest, is your lady, your goddess, a goddess of spiders, or in some way related to a spider aspect?
And he smiles at you with what can only be regarded as something of a predatory smile.
Ooh.
And he says, she waits in the shadows.
Ooh.
And she will consume you in her own good time.
Ooh. So unsettling. Gosh. Okay. All right, let's look in that money purse. Let's see if there's anything in there.
Okay. And this, one of the gnolls comes over and gets up next to Siren.
Mm-hmm.
And
is this the Gnoll leader?
Yeah, he is the Gnoll leader. He comes over next to Siren and says, and he talks to you in Gnoll language. He says, nasty human, make threats. Shall I rip his neck out for you? I will bite his throat at your command.
In a second. Right now we are questioning human. But you will have the honor of killing dumb human.
And then he turns around and he yells in Gnoll, fresh meat soon, boys. And all the other Gnolls, they raise their fists and and they cheer. And some of the guards, the town guards, they kind of look around nervously like they're not sure what that means. But then they see him clap Siren on the back and he moves off. So they're like, okay, well, maybe that means we're not on the menu. And so I'm sorry, who is doing something while I was dealing with that?
I was going through the priest's purse.
Yes, priest purse. What you find in there is you find a grand total of 9 platinum pieces.
Wow.
and you find probably a larger diamond than you've ever seen in your life. And this thing looks flawless. You would probably need to have somebody appraise it, but it looks like it's worth a lot.
Wow. That's good. I guess.
Sir Elmo, do you have any questions for him? He doesn't seem like he'll be cooperating much anymore.
And Elmo says, well, if we're going to do what we should do, according to the laws of the Empire, we should bring him back and hold him and send a messenger down to the provincial capital and have somebody come up. He's talking about some kind of goddess and cult and everything. They're going to want to investigate what's going on. They need to know about this. And they have some ways of really unpleasantly extracting information out of somebody. And he says that last, looking dead straight at Lareth. He's gonna wish we still had him when they're done with him.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
Go ahead, sorry.
also forgot one thing. On his right arm, you see you see what looks like a metallic wristband, and it also looks very shiny.
Hmm.
Can...
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, you can go first. It's okay.
No, I've probably just confused this guy enough with my job interview technique.
No. Well, you're the most charismatic and probably the leader of our party, so I'll let you go first.
Wow.
It's probably much more important than what I have.
I'm sure
trying
I'm
to steal my job.
No, I'm more like the PR manager. I'm not the CEO. But I was just gonna look at
Jerry
the bracelet.
Hawkins has forever ruined D&D. Jerry Hawkins.
Oh gosh. I did want to look at his bracelet while he's still alive. Look at it again for any symbols that seem to relate to his lady or any clues as to what they've been up to. Just turned it over in my hand, even without taking it off him.
It has some abstract designs on it. There's clearly, it doesn't look like it's related to the staff at all, and it doesn't look like it's related to the symbol of Bargle at all. But it does look extremely shiny and extremely fancy. And you guys have noticed. And either whether you've ever seen them yourselves or whether you've just listened to all the Bard's tales of where, the minstrels that travel around and perform, they always say that while normal items tend to show their age and tarnish and everything, something that's magical always looks like it's brand new, no matter how long it's been around or how much it's been worn or how much it's been used. And his armor has that brand new, like it just came off the forge yesterday. And this wristband also has that same look.
Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, I mean, Does anyone have anything else? Otherwise, I say we find a hilarious way to kill him.
If I may, can my character ask? Well,
Elmo will turn around and say, Dora, you having something you want to say? Go ahead.
does he know me?
Well, you would have come to the, you and Wohep would have come to the thing with the rest of them. So they would have met you in town and would have brought you along. So yeah, they would know your name. They wouldn't know much of anything about you, but they would know your name. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool, Beans. I was gonna say, like, are you springing like he's my best friend from childhood or something?
No.
Can she? I'd say she would nod, and she would, if she can, politely pass over Elmo.
Oh, sure.
And kind of put her hand out to take, I don't know who has it, but the large diamond.
I believe that's Omu that has it. So Omu, this woman who has come along with the folks, she steps up and she reaches her hand out to look at the diamond. You want to let her inspect it? I mean, you have all your allies around, so.
Yeah, I to be honest, I probably would have looked through the stuff and put it back into the overall, like, the little purse that he had in general. But yeah, I'd hand the whole thing over to her.
Okay. So yeah, you can open that little leather purse and you can pull it out. So what do you want to figure out about it?
She wants to ask the guy a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'd say that she would kind of bend over as if she was talking to a child and kind of hold it out and just kind of put it in front of her, like, so for both of them to see, and kind of ask if he was, or should I do it in character or just say it?
Up to you, however you're more comfortable.
Oh, okay. I'd say that she would ask him if what he was going to use this for.
And he looks at you and he says, "It was a gift. I would do with it. I was planning to do with it as I may need."
Well, what was that date going to be?
That would depend. If there were other circumstances, I might use it to bargain for my life. But the sight of these two pathetic elves makes me not want to live.
Aw, Sugar Cube, that's a bit intense. You don't have to say anything that mean. And she would kind of give the diamond. If I'm correct, it is a diamond.
Yeah, it's definitely a diamond. Oh yeah. Being a lady, you know a diamond, and it's you know when some guy is trying to pass off some fake costume jewel. Oh no, this is the real McCoy.
Oh, she would bring it around to give it back to Omu, if I'm saying that right, or Omar.
Yeah, Omu.
But kind of slyly look back at him and go, well, maybe if you behave yourself and you're nice, and since this is a gift, we could give it back to you afterwards. If you're still alive, that is.
And he just looks off, gives like 1,000-yard stare, just looks past you. He's like not even going to acknowledge you anymore.
I want to try and break through that. I want to say to him, like, who were your parents? Who were your family? What would they think if they knew what had gone on in this place
We've
and what
gone
had happened?
from job interview to therapy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We've gone from interviewing the intern to like Barbara Walters interviewing like someone on whatever 60 Minutes. But I would be like, you know, some bad things have gone on here, and you do have an opportunity to help us put them right and help us stop them happening elsewhere. You know, and on top of that, you would stand to gain yourself. It would be, it might be a rather chaotic decision to betray your former allegiances. But do you really think that they would hold so loyal and so faithfully to you, knowing that you were held in our custody?
And he looks and he says, I ate my father's heart. I put the dagger in my mother's back that took her life. They were worthless scum.
And tell me, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. But and yeah, I would say to him, like, so did you trade some of your, I guess, humanity and your innocence to be able to join this cult? You maybe as some condition you had to kill them, or you chose to, in your opinion?
Our Lady, whose name my lips are not worthy to speak, will guide us back to glory. Follow her, or suffer the fate of all unbelievers.
This is really a shot in the dark because I know I have skimmed through like some deities when I used to. There was another group I played with that like it was important. This is probably not it at all since this is very, very old. Can I ask him if this lady, he said it had, we know that she has something to do with spiders.
Yes.
Is she like a spider lord, a spider queen, or anything like that?
If I had a guess, since he's very pro-elf and into spiders, I'd say it's Lolth.
Yeah. Can she just
spider.
offhand? I know it would be really bad if this was, since he's like her, like, she can't even say his name, but I would be like, are you talking about Lowland?
And he looks at you and he says, she will make your death long and excruciatingly painful. Worm.
To this, she would look at Umu and just kind of, I'd say, mumble, like, I didn't say anything bad about her. I just asked if her name was.
But I think he doesn't want us to use the name.
Oh.
If that is the name.
Is that the name?
And he just takes a breath and seems to kind of center himself and just looks off past all of you all and seems like he's resigned to whatever fate you all decide for him.
Yeah.
He's done interacting with you all.
I think it might be, but then again, like like was discussed earlier, it's the Greyhawk D&D pantheon, and then there may be an evil spider goddess. It might not be Lolth, which is interesting because technically the characters wouldn't know for sure if it was Lolth or not. You know.
It's true.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Probably for 10 for your benefit, and actually 10, roll me an intelligence check, or either that, roll a d20 and you're hoping to get significantly under 11, one of the two.
So how do I do this? I know it's different.
On your character sheet,
Do I go to attributes and abilities?
no, actually go to main.
How do I go to main?
Okay,
It's in
let
your
me
character
open.
sheet.
You go to pull. That's because I didn't have you up there. So on the character sheet tab, if you go to the main tab, which is the one all the way to the left, and then
I have all 11s.
yeah. Then if you go to the intelligence row and you go just to the right of where it says 0 under the check column, and click that little button in the check column to the right of intelligence, it will... Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm going to say that somewhere, and you may not even remember where, but somewhere you just heard the name Lolth, and you heard it regarding spiders, but your character has no idea what the concept of Lolth and spiders means.
Literally just like in real life. I just want to say that.
Okay. Yeah,
that's perfect.
So yes, you would know that because at this point, and this goes along with the kind of the mechanics of the game. At this point, as far as everybody knows, every elf in the world is pretty much like Sylvia and
Siren. They
all have a little bit of magical ability. They're all pretty decent fighters, but they're all pretty much the same.
And it's all like arcane magic with them, right? It's all like, hey, look, I do a bit of magic, but it's the kind of magic that wizards do.
Because there's like no wood elves or drow.
Correct. There's no concept that there would be like wood elves. There's no concept that there would be high elves. There's no concept that there would be Eladrin. There's nothing of that at this point. You are, for as far as everybody knows, there is the primordial elf and the archetypical elf. And that's all that there is.
I think it's interesting that this campaign is called History of D&D, because I know it's supposed to be like the old D&D, but this keeps reminding me of like the idea of like this is how things were once, and then like D&D 5e is like a future version where there are differences.
Well, actually,
I know what you mean.
Well,
the plan of this campaign.
Yeah, that's the plan of this campaign. Princess. Yeah, to break the fourth wall for a minute. The plan of this whole campaign, when I envisioned it, is this is sort of like a virgin game world. It's a game world in its primordial, earliest state, where there's pretty much one civilization that people know about, and that is the Sylvan Empire. And there were elves that populated the world first, and then, like I said, the other races came along later. And all elves are the same, all dwarves are the same, all humans have a variety of things, all halflings are the same. And then as we play through this entire campaign, we will create some heroes, some legends, some stories, some epic events that when we start the AD&D campaign, things that happen in this game will be part of the history of that game world. And then we'll play through AD&D in a campaign there. And then when we go to the second edition game, that will be yet another layer of history of the game world. And then we'll play through a third edition game and a fourth edition game and a fifth edition game. And we'll be building up the history of the world, of the game world, while we are telling the stories about what happens in each of those eras. So that's sort of the whole concept behind this campaign, and why I call it the History of D&D. It's because, yes, it's going back and exploring the mechanics and the rules of how each of the editions works, but it's also then building and layering the history of an actual game world while we do that.
That's honestly awesome.
Okay, so yeah, that's my grand scheme, and we'll see how well it all comes out. But that's what I'm hoping to accomplish. Now, I want to take special moment before we go to our break to reach out to Mark and to Wes. Mark, is there anything before we go to break that you want to ask this cleric?
So the diamond that we got, it was inside the guy's staff, right?
No, it was in a pouch that he had.
Oh, okay. Could I attempt, or would it be a viable item for my dwarf to use? Since, I mean, it's a cleric staff or a magic staff or something of sort.
Well, we still have to figure out exactly what it is. So somebody will have to identify it before we figure out what it is. And then we'll have to figure out how we apportion out what the different loot items are. Typically, things go into party loot, and then if individual players want something, it's a matter of, we then kind of roll off, but we don't even know what the staff is yet, so it's a little premature to worry about who's going to get it ultimately.
Okay.
And then Wes, is there anything Sylvia would like to do during this interrogation time about what's been going on? Wes, we still have you with us?
I don't think he is.
Okay, I see him in the Discord, and I see him on the Roll20, but maybe he had to step away.
Yeah, he typed something in the chat.
Oh, okay. All right.
In Roll20.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, well, is there any more questioning that we want to do of the priest?
I have nothing more.
I had nothing else. I was just going to advocate we do hand him over to the authorities and not just do like a summary execution.
Okay. You gather from the way Zert was looking at Siren and the Knoll when they were talking, you gather that he understood what was being said, and so he will step up and he will say to Siren, I think Elmo's probably right. This priest is probably valuable enough. We want to turn him over to the authorities. But those guards that were with him, they're not worth anything to anybody. Might as well let the Knolls get some use out of them. And he gives you a little smile.
Agreed.
And so then what we will do just before we go to break, they will unceremoniously pull Lareth's armor off, throw it on the ground. They will take his staff away, throw it on the ground. They will take his wristband or his bracer off, throw it on the ground. They will make sure that he is all tied up, and they will take a knot of the city guards, the town guards, and they will escort him. So there's probably going to be like 6 or 8 of them that are around him. And they're going to make sure this guy has absolutely nowhere to go. Does not have anything. And they've got like swords out and pointed into his ribs. And it's like this guy is not getting anywhere. And then Zert and Elmo will sort of walk off with them, and they'll start carrying him off like they're going to take him back to town. And we're going to take our break, and then when we come back, we're going to deal with the Knolls, which will include dealing with the guards, and then we will see what else we want to do for the end of the session. So I have 34 after. Let's go ahead and come back at 45 after the hour. So wherever you are, take a few minutes, take a bio break, grab something to drink, grab a snack, and we will be back in 11 minutes. I'm going to put the music on, and I'm going to mute myself, but you all can chat amongst yourselves if you wish, or you can step away if you need to.
Cool. I will be back in 10.
All right, everybody. How are we doing? Is everyone back yet?
I'm here.
Okay. Accio, Mark, you guys back?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. 10, are you there? Wes, are you back from break? I'm just gonna ping Wes and let him know. And, not sure if are hearing us. We have a few minutes. Okay. All right. Okay. So just want to make sure we are all back and ready to go. All right. So the Lareth is being led away. The guards, the town guards, have pretty much come along and taken all of their weapons and are telling them to throw down their armor, which they are pretty much doing. Siren, you are able to talk to your Knoll friends. Not sure what you want to tell them about or what you want to tell them to do at this point.
I guess just in a nutshell, I'll let them take the enemy guards that we captured. They can have them to themselves.
Okay. And then last week you had mentioned you wanted to do something in terms of just sort of resolving what was ultimately going to become of the Knolls. So I don't know whether you want to take this time to do that.
I guess they would have. I guess they want to leave here, but I wanted to see if there's some way we could stay in contact somehow, or if I could find them some.
Quick question.
Sure.
What are these knolls exactly?
Okay. Siren, let me let you explain, since one of your new folks is asking. Go ahead and tell your dwarf what's up with these Knolls.
That's an excellent question. So basically, well, welcome to my glorious moat house. I kind of inherited it after we killed the previous owners. Turns out there's a giant dungeon underneath this moat house, which is also mine apparently. But as we were clearing out, we found the intrepid Omu. He was captured a while back. And also, as we were going through the dungeon, we found these Knolls. Turns out, me as an elf, I happen to speak Knollish. The Knolls weren't too fond of Bargulf and the people that work for him, so we were able to easily convince them to come and work with us. I also inspired them with my great battle prowess by killing a few bugbears.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they're kind of pretty chill with me right now, so I just decided to let the Knolls head on out and live their lives for helping us clear out this dungeon.
Yeah, Wohip, as a dwarf, you would know instinctively that Knolls usually are bloodthirsty, untrustworthy, unreliable allies at best. And thinking about that, you would think, gosh, they really must have had to hate these guys in order for them to take to a group of adventurers and like them better than they liked these other guys. You heard all that questioning, and you heard this crazy cleric's rantings about his goddess that he would never name. And so maybe the gnolls just think he's completely batshit loony, and they don't want anything to do with him. So they they might figure they're better off just being on their own. Now, of course, you realize that they have made at least a temporary truce or alliance with the other adventurers, and there's still like 6 or 7 gnolls and one of you. So that would be that might figure into what you want to do at this point.
Are there any gnolls still around us, or?
Oh yeah, the gnolls are these guys right here. I don't know if. Yeah.
Sorry, I said my laptop still needs to charge. If I put that in the group, I don't know if anybody can see that.
Oh,
in
okay,
general.
okay, okay. All right. Sorry. I saw 10 that you said that, and then I was cross-referencing it with something that was said in Roll20 by somebody else. So I was thinking that was a different character. All right. Yeah. So Sylvia has it exactly right. For the most part, what everybody knows the lore about gnolls is they're hyena-headed evil creatures. Some people say they're allied with goblins. Some people say they're their own sort of thing. Gnolls are generally considered filth by civilized peoples, but these ones seem to be unusually, a little bit more civilized. They were, in fact, allied with evil humans. Now, at least temporarily, they've formed an alliance with an elf, who now seems to feel like he is the king of this place, but maybe he's being a little more influenced by Lareth than
King of the gnolls.
I'm king of the gnolls. He's gonna stand up on the battle and spread his arms out. Right, 10 officially. I hope you stay in the campaign because you're a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to ask if, because they are like hyena-headed, and from what I've heard, they don't, from what I know and what they look like, they don't look like goblins, but they kind of give me the same vibe as like people are like, ew, goblins. But if I may, can Dora go up to one and just kind of give it like the back of the ear kind of scratch?
Is it a modern D&D thing that gnolls are like hyenas?
Gnolls have always had a bit of a canine looking thing. I'm gonna actually put together another. Let me go to the artwork. And
what's new is that kobolds are draconic. That's what's new, because kobolds were kind of kin to kobolds were like tiny gnolls, basically.
Oh, really? Oh, isn't that
they were
interesting?
dog-headed. They were like little miniature. They were like dogs, like kind of, and the gnolls were like hyenas. Hyenas are a little more powerful than a standard dog. That's kind of how the relationship was.
There's some media like from I'm trying to think, but in my head, kobolds they are kind of rat-like. Do you know what I mean?
You're thinking of Warcraft, I believe.
Oh,
yeah, really? Yeah. That Warcraft had the Okay, we're now going to get completely off topic, which is fine. This is what happens in a D&D game. We completely go off the rails. In Warcraft had the lore that gnolls were kind of like rats, and they had the little candles on their head, and they would be like, "You know, take candle." That was
Yeah. No, so that's and like the scratching behind the ear. Then it even adds to that like type of move because they are kind of canine. They are a little bit like hyena-like in D&D.
Yeah. Where is my?
I mean,
stupid.
I guess there's an element of what happens if you go to a hyena and try and scratch behind the ear. I don't.
It's true.
But
Well,
just do a cut and paste from the original Monster Manual. I mean, they
yeah,
look
that's
like a cross. They're like a cross between a reptilian and a dog. That's kind of like
that's
they were. You know?
exactly what I'm looking for, and here we go. This is it. So I'm gonna create a handout now. In the journal, I'm gonna add a handout, and I'm gonna take this. Where the hell is this picture that just went in here? The null. Put that in there. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to show it to players.
Then somewhere around
everyone.
3.0,
Okay.
3.0, 3.5 is when Kobold started to take on the reptilian, more of a reptilian than dog-like feature, and then by 5e they kind of became draconic.
Yeah, now this is what gnolls look like in the AD&D Monster Manual. The source book that I'm using for people that really want to get deep in the weeds on the source book that I'm using for this version is something called the Rules Cyclopedia, and that includes all the rules for the DMs, for the players, for the monsters, everything. And that has a whole section for monsters, but it doesn't have a whole lot of images. So it doesn't contain an image for a gnoll. This is the image out of the AD&D Monster Manual, which is from the same era. The reason, as I was researching and everything, the reason that they went from AD&D or from original D&D to AD&D had to do with all kind of copyright type of things. At the very beginning, Dave Arneson. Okay.
It was Dave
Welcome
and
back.
Gary at the beginning. It was Dave and Gary at the beginning, and Dave went a different direction. He was kind of more free, like you can play that, like in 5e, where you can play all the different races. That's what he wanted players to be able to do. Whereas Guy was very controlling, wanted the numbers, wanted it controlled environment where you had this and that's all you could do, and very specific and I mean he was very detailed, even down to explaining what the doors were made out of and that kind of thing. And but that made some great dungeons. He made some great dungeons, but his rules were a little more limiting than what Arneson was into, and so he felt like that D&D was presented more as a child's game and wanted to make it more of an adult game and did AD&D, and they kind of had a split there.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is the AD&D Monster Manual version of a gnoll. So they've consistently been like 7 foot tall bipedal canine type of race, and this one you can see it has kind of a canine head. More often they are presented as hyena type of heads, which is a little bit different than this. But you know, you get the picture.
Yeah.
She still wants to give it scratches.
That's fine. You go over to it, and as you approach it, it will look at Siren, and it will kind of like give you a look like, all right, is this human okay?
Dora, I would ask first before trying to touch one of them. They might be liable to bite your hand off.
Okay. And she'll look at it and she'll go, she kind of gets like pats her knees. Come here.
Uh-oh.
And so then it gives you, it's like it looks at you, and in Nolish it says, Siren, it says, "Crazy human," and kind of with a question.
Little.
What does it want?
She apparently wants to pet the back of your head.
Okay, you trust her?
She won't hurt you.
Okay.
Also, she gives Siren thumbs up.
Okay. Well, yeah, they're talking in some language that unless
Oh, no.
your character knows Nolish, you don't understand what they're saying.
She has
So.
no idea. She's giving him the blank, like, give him a good, I'm doing good.
Okay. So he'll come over and he'll sort of lean down and put his head towards your hand, and you scratch him behind the ear.
Mm-hmm. She gives him like the good scratches.
Okay, you start to scratch him behind the ear, and everybody notices that sort of reflexively, one of his legs just starts moving in the same rhythm as where she's scratching. It's kind of like that autonomic reflex of, okay, yeah. And then he kind of gets this look on his face like, I never thought that would feel that good. Yeah. And there's sort of a little bit of drool coming out of the side of his mouth,
Oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Oh my god.
Okay. Okay, and now we've broken our new fighter. All right, so that's okay. So getting back to matters at hand, Siren, you wanted to continue a conversation with the Gnolls.
Yeah,
their leaders.
Basically, just want to let them know all the prisoners here are theirs to take.
Okay, now you had mentioned something. This is again breaking the fourth wall. You had mentioned something about that well. Do you want to keep one of those guards and see if they can be used as bait for whatever's in that well, or do you want to?
No, more so I wanted to throw the priest in there because I thought it would be painful, but
okay.
I'll just give them all to the kobolds. We'll deal with the whale in time.
Okay. All right. And the leader of the kobolds, after realizing, or leader of the gnolls, I'm sorry, after realizing that he's in no danger from Dora, will come over. He'll send somebody over to you, Siren, and they will talk to you and say, you Gnoll friend, we respect you. This your den now?
Yes, this my den.
Okay. We find our den and we send messenger to tell you our den. And then he points at the human guards. He says, how you let them know we elf friend?
Oh, the good guards or the bad guards?
He is pointing to the city guards.
Okay. I haven't thought about that.
We only come here until we know they know we not enemy. Tell town people not shoot us.
All right. I'll let the guards know not to kill these gnolls.
Okay, we will make sign for you to give them. Yes, we will make sign for you to give them.
All right.
And so he holds out, or he reaches out a meaty paw, and he lays it on your shoulder, kind of in what's like a modified warrior grip, and he squeezes your upper arm near your shoulder, and he says, "You brave, you fight well. We see you."
All right.
And then he turns to his other fellows and he says, "Bring fresh meat with us." And he points to the guards that have been, Lareth guards that have been stripped of their armor. And all of the gnolls let up a howl, and they move over and they start very roughly grabbing these guards. And these guards, they start looking, and they look at you and like, no, take us to jail, take us to jail.
Dora's gonna look at the elf guy, Siren, correct?
Siren, yeah. Except everyone
She's-
calls him Siren for whatever reason.
My fault, Siren. You
Actually,
pronounce
that would
it
be
Siren.
Omu's fault, who can't learn that name. Anyways,
She'll look at him and for a second stop petting the leader, Noel, and just look. What are they gonna do to them?
I don't think I want to find out.
Can she kind of looks worriedly between the Noel in front of her and the guy, Siren.
You look at the gnoll, and the way this gnoll looks at you, and the way this gnoll looks at those guards that were guarding the evil priest is very different. When his eyes fall on you, they are kind of like a friend. Imagine, if you will, a bipedal sentient Rottweiler.
Oh,
That is your family pet. And when it looks at you, it's like, "Oh, yeah, you feed me, you let me stay here, I protect you." And then there's the crazy drunk neighbor that comes banging on the door in the middle of the night. And that Rottweiler goes, "Let me at him, let me at him, let me at him, let me at him." And that's kind of the difference between the way this gnoll looks at you and the way it looks at that other guard. Does that kind of set the scene for you in terms of your idea of what the gnolls plan to do with those people?
so the Noel feels like it doesn't look hungry, it looks angry.
Oh, it kind of looks a little of both.
Oh dear. She's gonna look and kind of whisper as if it would offend the Noel, even though it has no idea what she's saying, unless it doesn't speak common, I'm guessing. So she would kind of whisper at Siren, "You're not gonna let them eat them, are you?"
I mean, that was my plan.
And Tuck, who is this cleric from town, he will walk up and he will stand next to Dora and he will say, "Friend, sometimes you've got to let the gnolls be gnolls. And this is one of those times."
These aren't good men, Dora. I can show you exactly what they were doing downstairs.
They were and Omu was kept prisoner. Like they were feeding people to ghouls, and torturing them and stuff, pretty horribly. They're pretty bad guys.
Oh dear.
And also, I'd muted myself, but it's canon now that Omu, because of whether it's a lack of education or a lack of refinement in class, that he doesn't pronounce Siren's name correctly. He says Siren every time.
It's another way to undermine my leadership.
No.
And because Omu is so charismatic, every time he says Siren, it's like everybody else just automatically starts saying Siren until Siren has to correct them.
So the henchmen are like, Siren, my lord. Oh no.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. There's not a mechanic for inspiration in this game, but I think Omu, you'll have to just mark down something that if you ever really need a reroll, just beg the GM, say, hey, you remember that whole Siren bit?
All right.
You owe me a reroll.
All right. I'll try and cash it in at a point when it's relevant. We're in front of Sylvan Imperial nobility, and I have to somehow pretend I don't know Siren. Yeah.
Okay.
Who? Siren? Okay.
Hey, that's how I won D&D once.
Yeah.
My character got lured away by some sirens and not sirens, but the imps that got lured to the forest to have sex with them for 500 years.
Oh no!
His character from the campaign. I was like, well, that's winning D&D. I mean,
Jesus.
he lives for 500 years as a human and gets to have sex with beautiful women the entire 500 years. That's winning.
Yeah, but what if you found out they weren't actually all beautiful women? They were just copies of Siren.
But then beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Maybe they were like, that's exactly what they wanted.
You
was
wanted
whatever.
to smash Siren.
Could be. Omu likes Siren as a colleague, but the guys in Wes's campaign, maybe not. Good. Very good.
Moving on.
So we took time interrogating the cleric. We don't need to do it in detail on each one of these guys, but do they know anything? The guards that were around. I think over sessions that I wasn't there for, various guards were asked things and what they knew. So I think that there's not really much value we'll get out of it, but do they know anything extra, anything additional?
No, they seem to be pretty much kind of brainwashed. They have fallen under whatever lured Lareth. He seems to have kind of a command, and you saw that he's like one of those guys he's kind of like very, very handsome, almost pretty type of dude. He's one of those kind of people.
Yeah.
And so you can see where, okay, maybe he just sort of used his charismatic charm to draw them into his orbit, and they just seem kind of devoted to him. But now that they realize that they're about to become literally dog food, they're sort of desperate to try to save themselves. But like you've informed the group, they've done some really horrible shit in service of this guy.
Yeah, it's also one of those things that D&D, even more so old school D&D, it is a kind of related to our own medieval, Earth, right? I know it's not the same planet and there's all kinds of differences, but in medieval times on Earth, they didn't have a Geneva Convention. If you captured prisoners and they weren't valuable, they did just kill them.
Yeah, life is cheap.
Yeah.
The reason that farm families have 8 kids is because they only expect 4 of them to survive to adulthood, and they need extra labor on the farm, for crying out loud. So, it's like, okay, as soon as you're like 3 years old, okay, your little butt is going to work.
Just by you saying that, I really want her to help, but you using that, I mean, she does have 11 other brothers and sisters, so I guess she's...
Yeah.
God has a point.
Hey, your parents are probably devotees of the gods of fertility. And it's like, they take be fruitful and multiply very literally.
As her parents being not just like characters that I was just like, oh, whatever, like they come from another game of 2 people. Very much so. You're very right.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, the gnolls, they will surround these guards. They will go off with them. I'm just going to move these guards out of here. Okay, guard. And then take all the gnolls. And then, yes, that one reluctantly, with a, he looks at Dora, and there's like a little canine tear at the corner of his eye because all of his friends are starting to go away, and he just reaches out and he kind of licks Dora on the hand.
Is there
and
go on, sorry.
And then he breaks away, but he does turn back and give Dora a look as he goes. And they all go off. And when they are a tasteful distance away, that the sounds of their footsteps and the boots have all faded, you then hear the sounds of distant human screams as of several men having their throats violently torn out.
Like you do.
Like you do.
Goodbye, puppy.
And nobody except possibly Dora feels any remorse for those guys at all. Because, you live by torturing people. Okay, yeah, you're going to have to pay for it. There's going to be consequences for them.
Even those townspeople, probably more so than Omo, those guards and stuff from the town, it would be people that they knew that were taken and were tortured and stuff in this game.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, as a player, I totally get why they deserve to die.
It's one of those things where part of me is like, wants to do the Star Trek or Captain Picard thing of like, no, we can't do this. It's order of law, but it's just not what a medieval random caravan guard would be like.
Yeah. The medieval random caravan guard would be like, yeah, okay, that's what they deserve.
Yeah,
justice.
Yeah,
there is justice in the world, and the rest of the guards, actually, there's Aethert, there's Walter, there's Fenwick, there's Brenton, there's Exard. Okay, so these are the guards that you guys... Oh, and there's Gowis. Okay, so Brenton must be part of the regular town guards. All right, for whatever reason, I put him in the wrong... Okay, yeah, this guy goes... He goes over here. He's gonna... And these guys don't need to be here anymore. They can go to that layer. All right. So the rest of these town guards, they'll take their dead of which there are several. And they will check in with Captain Aethert, who kind of was field command. Basically, he took field command of the folks that were with you before. And he says, he comes over to, he moves over to Omu, kind of instinctively, but then he kind of stops himself and turns to Siren.
I'm the one that pays you, Aether.
And he says, my lord, he says,
Lord.
will you be needing us, or shall we return back to town with the others?
What do these guys look like?
They look like very sharply dressed, if kind of dusty because they've ridden a couple of hours out here to the moat house from town, but sharply dressed town guards. They range in age from, probably 18, 19 up to maybe in their mid 30s. Clearly the older ones probably have families. The younger ones, maybe this is their first job. But, it's being a town guard. You're sort of serving the village council. You're doing your civic duty. It's an honorable thing. It's not going to make you rich, but, it's an honest day's work for an honest day's pay.
Do any of them look anything close to handsome?
You know what? That is completely up to Dora. I am going to let Dora pick because they mechanically they all have exactly the same stats. So
Give me their
Dora,
names again.
Okay, the ones that have names are Gowis, Captain Aethert, Exard, Fenwick, Walter, and then this dude that came. There's two dudes that came with the group the other day. They are Brenton and Mino. But they're kind of over here with this group.
Okay, first I want to look at Captain Acard, you said?
Aethert.
Aether. What is...
Aethert. He's sporting a wound. He was clearly wounded defending the other adventurers in battle. So he's got some bandages on now. And he looks like normally he's very hale and hearty, but he's kind of moving a little bit slower because of that big war wound. I mean, if a wound does it for you, then Aethert, definitely, he's your guy.
Sylvia applies a little healing to him, make him feel better.
Okay. How many points does he get? Oh, he gets four back. Okay. It's 1d3. 1d3. So go ahead and you know what? There's not a. Oh, is there a d3?
Could I ask a question real quick? I've been away for like a few minutes. What's happened since then?
They basically let the they let the gnolls take the guards. They allowed the town guards to take Lareth the priest back to town to send him to the provincial capital to endure questioning by the imperial questioners or the imperial magistrates, basically. and to find out more about this cult. And now Dora, your new friend Dora over here, she's trying to figure out which one of these guards is cute.
Good job.
So you haven't missed a whole lot. Yeah, but the battlefield is a little bit clearer because the allies are tending to their dead and wounded, and the enemies have been taken off the field, basically.
Okay.
So that's where we are. Yeah. Mark and Wes, a little bit of apologies just for the way the timing of this whole thing has worked out, because this particular episode has turned out to be a whole lot more RP than actually dice rolling. But
That's fine.
Last week was entirely combat, so and there was no RP at all. So
It's true.
Unfortunately, I missed the entire last.
yeah. Well, you can't fight Mother Nature, Wes. So we're glad you're safe.
Yes, the tornadoes didn't hit our family, so we're happy.
Good.
Okay.
Honestly, to make things easier, I think Dora will lean over to. She doesn't know Sylvia's name yet, but she'll just kind of go and like point to them and like whisper with her hand over her mouth. Who would you say here is the cutest, hypothetically?
I wonder what number one, where is this going? But number two, I'm so curious as to what the response is going to be.
Now, Sylvia is an elf, and so the first question is, and all these guards are humans, so I don't even know if Sylvia would think of humans as cute in that regard or not. But that's entirely up to the player to determine.
Did he leave? I don't blame him if he did.
The
leader, whichever one was the leader one, Galthan.
Aethert. The one that you went over and cured, Aethert, right here. Yeah. So you cure his wounds. She asks you, and I'm just gonna, by DM fiat, Sylvia's just gonna point to this one that Sylvia just cured, and wink at Dora, and then she will wander off towards these other guards where she was going in the first place. So
that's why she healed him.
One. She'll think the one that was the leader, would be the. If she found one a human cute, it would be that.
Yeah.
Well, is he?
But he's bland in comparison to elven men.
They are all like I said, mechanically they all have exactly the same charisma score. So 10, it's completely up to you.
Well, how old is he? Is he stoic? This is very important D&D information.
Wow. Okay. You know what this is? I'm really.
You know what you could do? You could roll 1d10, and that is just, on like the 1 to 10 scale of hotness.
You now have 10. You need to make sure that you put somewhere on your character record that you can also ask the DM for inspiration at some point, because your RP has just been off the charts this game. Thank you for participating and making this game so much more fun. Okay, Don John is really slow today, so let me do one.
But Sylvia whispers to you, if you really want a hot guy, I can introduce you to some half-elven guy friends.
Okay, this gentleman, he's
One's a ranger and another's a bard. He's hot.
Canonically, right now, Sylvia is Dora's best friend in the whole world, just from that sentence.
He plays guitar, so he's hot. He's long hair. He's hot.
Aethert.
Wow.
Aethert is now I'm not going to presume what the character's age is, but Aethert is 29.
Perfect.
And so he's probably old enough to have a family, but in out here in these rural communities, people usually don't have money for things as fancy as like rings and stuff. So it's basically like you'd have to observe him interacting with other people to find out whether he actually does have a family or not. So, but yeah, but he's the leader. He's 29.
Okay, so I'll have to observe him. Dora's gonna walk up with him. If she lets her, can she hold Sylvia's hand and like bring her over with her?
That's up to Sylvia. Okay, so yeah, Dora's down here. Yeah, okay. So, all right, and Sylvia's over here. So whoever wants to go where, and then the Aethert is right there in the middle, kind of in between you two guys.
Do you want me to like hold on?
You're completely in control of Dora, so you do whatever you want to do. I'm not gonna try to tell Dora what she can or cannot do.
Are you in
Where's Dara's
what are their
character at?
names?
I don't see her character.
Oh, right
I
here.
have to go right back on.
Oh, that's right, because she's been charging her laptop. Sorry, 10.
It's totally okay. I can go on like a second to make sure, like, to pull a character here or there.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's why things have been... Oh, okay. Never mind. You've been so active in Discord, I haven't...
It's a good thing, I think. I hope.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be on. You don't. We can do it role play, theater of mind.
Are you sure?
Theater of the mind. Yeah. We can do it whole theater of the mind if you want. So, actually, let me just bring Aethert over to you. So, Aethert's there. And you guys are right next to him. So, he's right next to you and to Sylvia. Dora, so whatever you want to do.
Perfect. So, he's this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, she's gonna like look at Sylvia, and I'm assuming like in her mind it's like, oh, okay, so I have to observe if he's married or not. So she looks at him and goes, "Are you married?"
And he will look back at her and he will say, why, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I am. The gods blessed me with a lovely wife, and we have 3 young children.
Oh, that's wonderful. And she looks at Sylvia and just goes, all right, next.
Okay.
Sylvia says, like I said, I know this bard. He plays guitar.
And she'll like walk with
He's
her
in a
and be like,
band.
why don't you tell me more about him? So now you
Long
two, you
blonde
guys
hair.
can role play.
Great.
I'm sorry for taking up so much time.
Aaron's just been reading his spell book as this goes on.
Yes. He will tell you that his wife's name is Ivana.
That's great information. Love it.
Yeah. He's so 5 minutes ago. She's completely...
Oh, I'm not gonna be
person who's like, "Oh, you're married? Even better. Let me steal you away."
Well, Sylvia says, you know how these humans are. They make lots and lots of babies.
Yeah, I was
Not
one of the lots of babies.
Not like us elves who only make 1 or 2 children.
Yeah. 1 or 2, maybe every couple of centuries. Because
And that's the problem with humans. They grow old and ugly so fast.
Yeah.
I would say Dora is like agreeing, but also thinking like, is she dissing me at the same time? But
yeah, because Dora.
While I will be beautiful for 1,000 years.
And she sort of flips her hair, you know. It's like
Sylvia sounds like that best friend who's like, "Oh wow, you cooked something last week? Yeah, I won a cooking competition, but good on you for cooking something." Like just everything one's up.
Elves are very pretentious because they live such a long lifetime. You know, they're the beautiful race.
Yeah, and they don't even realize. A lot of them don't even realize they're doing it. They really honestly don't look down on other races. They, at least in the Sylvan Empire, traditional elves. Now, traditional elves don't mean that every elf character has to be this way, but a traditional elf really, honestly, truly, when they look in a looking glass, they see someone whose responsibility is to help humans, dwarves, and halflings find a better way to enlightenment. And they really think of those other races as their younger brothers and sisters. And they care about them as long as they kind of, you know, do their own thing. You know, you're fine as long as you don't get in my hair or don't get in my way.
So long as they recognize that the elves are the superior.
As long as they come to us when they need help, but they're not such a burden on us because they're begging for stuff all the time. Yeah, then they're fine.
Do dwarves in this universe kind of like have the same, like the Lord of the Rings kind of style where they're like, ugh?
I don't know, Mark. What do dwarves in this universe think? You are representing the first dwarf character we've had, so you kind of get the only thing that you know basically as a member of the Sylvan Empire is that the lore says that elves were around before all the other sentient races. You know that looking at the timelines and the life scales of the other races that dwarves live longer than everybody except elves. Dwarves probably, most of them probably die before they reach 500. Most elves live beyond 1,000. Halflings tend to, if you get a 300-year-old halfling, that's really something unusual. And then a 100-year-old human, it's like, okay, what kind of crazy, strange magic have they been doing to get to 100? So, Mark, you can think about that now, or if you have a ready answer, you can.
Where in the end was Dora going with trying to figure out if A, which one of the henchmen was hot, and then B, which one was hot and unmarried?
Well,
Like where?
Quick question. Can you tell me exactly what you are asking me?
Oh, yes. What I was trying to give you the opportunity to do is to sort of give a baseline of how dwarves view the other races in this universe. You're a dwarf character, so mechanically you know that elves live longer than you, but your race lives longer than both the halflings and the humans. So what is your thought on, do you think that, humans, they're just kind of cute. They're kind of cute little kids and pat them on the head and just stay out of their way? Or do you feel like dwarves have a responsibility to help humans or help halflings or what?
In my opinion, dwarves see other races as equals, but they have to win their respect.
Okay, excellent. All right. Very well said. All right. Mark, if you wind up sticking with the campaign, you need to write down somewhere on your character sheet that you can also call on the DM for some inspiration. That's good. So that's a good philosophical baseline for dwarves.
What is his name? J.R.R. Martin wrote Lord of the Rings. I forget.
J.R.R.
George.
Tolkien.
Yes.
Oh.
I mixed up. I put the.
Yes.
He did that on purpose, George R. R. Martin, because he loves J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
So it's not you. It's not you. It's him.
You're exactly right. Right.
It's really bad because I remember when I was in France, for some reason I just wanted to, not France, Quebec. I was reading in French and I was reading a book about like the creation of like the movie, and then I got really into Lord of the Rings. Anyway, that was like a year ago. Anyway, I just wanted to say I feel like he would be proud of that statement because that was just so well said, and it was only like a sentence.
Yeah. Good.
Anywho, back to the original topic where Aether was wondering whether they'd stay or go.
Yes.
I guess I just.
Hey, if there's one of my favorite shows, I'm sorry to derail us, but one of my favorite shows out there, and it's not necessarily because I really enjoy everything that they do, but I so respect their philosophy. There's a show out there called, oh gosh, I'm going to draw a blank on it. The RPG Academy. And their tagline is, if you're having fun, you're doing it right.
Oh.
So as long as everybody is having fun in the game,
It's true.
you're doing it right. And it's something I try to remember. It's not my game, it's our game. So
that's so sweet. I like how anyway, sorry, we should be pressing on and finding out what Aether and Gauss are going to do.
Okay, so yes, they're looking at Siren expectantly. After realizing, oh, hey, there's a woman that's talked to me, but yes, my wife is at home. I love her so much. I love my children so much.
Boring.
I'm really tempted to wingman Dora and like and in front of the henchman, like say to the other henchman, like, you won't believe the married woman I met back in town. She was wild. God, I hope her husband doesn't find out. And so that like, oh my God, my wife. It turns out I am available. But that's I mean, you have to try and treat it like real life. And in real life, that would be really evil. That would be psychopathic.
That's
to
what
ruin
I'm saying.
someone's
I'm like,
marriage.
no.
Just because someone I met.
Don't
like,
do it. This is not a soap opera. This is D&D. You can't do this.
Yeah.
This is not the housewife,
It's not the Real Housewives.
The Real Housewives of
Atlanta, yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
my
was tempted
God.
to.
Okay. All right. Siren, we will now let you speak. Sorry.
Very good. I think I'd just let the guards know that they're welcome to stay and keep working for me if they'd like, or they can head back to town if they want.
Okay. Well, they're like, well, the 2 gold a day, and you're still keeping up with the with what is it? It's the 3% for those of us who've been here all the time, and 2% for the others. Is that right? We still have that same agreement.
Yeah, same agreement, though. I imagine with it just being guard duty, there won't be much more income coming from. Like
Okay,
2%.
well that's fine. Okay, then you all can head back downstairs because you know that the ooze trap has been disabled. You know everything up here is secured. Everything here is dead. I'll just hand wave that you walk around everything. You figure it all out.
The grand tour of my dungeon.
Yes, Siren, you do in fact go over to this area and find a secret door that communicates down to a choked passage that matches the one from below that you all found last week. So let me move you over to the next level.
So this is just ours now?
Well, Siren, as it turns out, Siren is the only person left from the deal that the original deal that the town elders made, and I'll have to let him fill you in. I'm not going to try to co-opt that for him.
Right.
So
I could say that Dora can ask him.
Okay, so I'm going to move this, except I'm going to go to come on, Omu, bring you back to the token layer.
Wait, what just happened?
I just changed us to a different map.
So basically,
And what is this? Are we in the prison now or something?
this is the basement of the moat house.
You're in the basement of the whoops. I don't know why this is.
Well.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are here. So let me get your characters and put them back on the map. You are here.
Sylvia's already.
Yep. Salvador is here. Omu, I think you're on there. Siren, I don't know if you're somewhere around, but I want to bring you back on here.
I'm here. I'm button next to Omu.
Oh, okay.
Did we ever open this door down here?
Which one?
The one that Sylvia's near, like the
That's
diagonal
where
one.
the guards came from.
Yeah, that was their little guard area.
Yeah.
We didn't because we kind of had to run away from them, basically.
Omu was a coward and left me to die.
I didn't leave you to die.
I mean, it was the kobolds that saved my. I mean, the gnolls who saved my life. Not Omu.
They did.
Well, maybe
carry
we
your
should
body.
check it out. There might be gold and treasures and stuff.
I think we should. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got to put. I've got to give control of these tokens again. This is the thing I was talking about, where it doesn't remember who these tokens belong to. So I've got to give them control once again. Okay. Wohip and Salvador, you should have control of your tokens now. Anybody else? Sylvia, do you find yourself on here, or do I need to add you to the map?
I'm on it. I'm over by the door.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, let me... I'm going to just throw all of those onto the GM layer because they're all gone. Yeah, so for the new players, what they discovered before, and I'll just save Siren some exposition. Over here, there was a door that led into an area where a gnoll an ogre lived, and that ogre's corpse is laying right there. There's some supplies over here. There's some more supplies over here. There were jail cells here, here, and here. All of this area where they found some zombies, and they dealt with zombies. There was a torture chamber over here where it was clear that people had been tortured. This area up here was actually a pantry for the ogre, and there were 2 live humans and 1 live gnome that were being quote unquote aged to
That's where
become
we found
meals.
Sylvia as well.
Yeah, actually, 2 humans, an elf, and a gnome. The elf was Sylvia. She was being aged along with the others to be a meal for the ogre. They rescued them from that fate.
Such a disgusting.
Yeah. Down here at the bottom edge of this torture chamber, they found a secret door that led to a tunnel down below. That went to an area where there are crypts, where they found ghouls, and they destroyed the ghouls. Then later, they discovered an area that had a secret door at the back of the ogre's cave that went downstairs this way. That led to the area where they discovered the gnolls, where the gnolls had been living over here. Yes, I am jumping us around, but just to kind of give everybody a quick preview. The evil priest had been somewhere down in this way. You all don't know what's up, what's up beyond this area here. You all don't know what's down beyond this area here. In fact, they've never been that way. They've just kind of seen that. This direction down here is another area leading back to the ghoul crypts. And then the gnolls told them that down in this area here was a well where there were monsters in the well. And then they had told you that in this area over here was where the soldiers were. And Sylvia, I'm just going to say that because they were kind of sloppy, they left the doors open. So you can see that there's a hallway going here. And through this door, through this door here, you can tell that there's kind of fresh air coming from this direction out here. So the gnolls had told Siren last week that there was a way out that way. So you kind of can feel that sense that there's another exit from this place. And it seems like there's actually a well that's down beyond these stairs going down. So that's a brief orientation to this whole level. If everybody wants to split the party, that's fine. If we all want to stick together, then do those of you who are still back over here want me to move you to where everybody else is?
Yeah, move me, please.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, I'll just grab the 3 of you, and I will drag you. Oops. Where the heck? And yes, I'm going to get rid of that stupid ogre after a time. But he's with you for the moment. All right, so you are there. You are there. Whoops, I'm sorry. You are there. The gnoll will go back, or the ogre's corpse will go back to where it fell. up here. All right. And everybody is now kind of in this area. Okay. So I have everyone on the map. Oh, Sylvia, I don't have you labeled yet.
Are we all following Sylvia down?
That's up to each of you individually. Now that you can kind of all see where Siren looks like he is.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. All right.
I'm still here, but I'm on the road going to pick up a pizza for my kids.
Oh.
Well, it's going to be very theater of the mind now.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we'll be describing.
You can just move my character with the party.
Yeah.
So, can I move my guy freely?
Let me double check. Let me make sure that I have you correctly
Yeah, I can
set
move
up.
my guy, but
Okay, yeah. If yes, you are permitted to do so. And 10, do you have control over Dora? Are you able to move her, or do I need to fix her token? Oh, you're on. You're still on the other screen, so I'll just move you for you. Okay. Sorry, I forgot you're charging your computer. All right. So Dora is with you.
Very well.
And the nice thing is, Dora, this is all on Twitch, so I'll give you guys the Twitch channel later so you can go back and you can watch anything that you missed because you were charging your computer.
Oh, cool.
so can we move? So, for example, can I just move my guy over here?
You sure can. The way I rule movement, we're not in combat, so the distance that you move is not so much. You can move through an ally space, and it's just like they squeeze aside and you pass by them. There's no problem with moving through an ally space.
Okay, well, let's just say I'm going to walk up this hallway or see what's in it.
Okay, so you look up that way, and you are a dwarf, so you have dark vision. So what you notice is that the hallway extends up there, and it looks like it opens into at least part of a chamber up this way. Let me see what you find. Okay, when you're in this area here, you're in this area here. The passage begins a slant gradual upwards, or begins to slant gradually upwards, and a slight breeze can be felt. And it's kind of fresh air, so you get the sense that if you just kept going that way, your dark vision doesn't extend long enough for you to see that there's the outside, but you get the sense that probably somewhere up in the distance there would be a way out to the surface there.
Okay.
And then heading up this way to the north, over here, you would sense the following. There are, it looks like there's a couple of stools that are over next to the wall, and you can see like where there's maybe like a water skin that was left there. And maybe part of a half-eaten meal. So there's one here, and there's one here. And it kind of looks like maybe people were posted as guards, but obviously they're gone, and you get the sense they're probably among the people that you captured up top. So
if there were guards here, maybe there's something valuable there. Could be. Or it was just an entrance guard.
My thoughts.
Possibly.
Although I'm rather more inclined to believe it was just an entrance guard for people coming in.
Yeah, but you noticed there was one here, and you noticed on the other side of the hall up this way, there was another one, and there was one over here. So they were guarding this entire hallway. It wasn't just somebody sitting here by the door.
There has to be a barrack somewhere where all the guards slept.
Yeah,
Or
probably.
maybe there's something hidden with the hallway, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, now you are a dwarf, so in this edition, being a dwarf, that means that you have the ability to detect some hidden passages and hidden doors. And the way it worked in first edition is instead of the, or original D&D, instead of the player rolling, you would have to be the DM rolling. So I'm just going to go ahead and I am going to, whoops.
And if you'll roll mine too, because I'm a
Sure.
help search.
Sure.
Help as well.
All right. You can detect stonework on a on 1 to 2 of a D6. So let me just roll and see what happens. Okay, you don't detect any openings, and then you were going to do that. The other two of you guys were going to do that as well.
Yeah, I'll be looking for magic doors and whatnot.
Okay. None of you in this passage, I'm just going to move Sylvia up here to show that she's searching. None of you guys discover any secret passages anywhere in this hallway. There doesn't appear to be any secret doors or hidden doors, but definitely it feels like it's leading to something.
Okay, well, I guess we should just proceed upwards the hallway.
Okay. Well, in the interest of time, I am going to go ahead and reveal the rest of this because we are kind of at, oh, whoops, my bad. We are kind of at time, and I want to be sensitive to the fact that some of us are overseas and it's a lot later than it is here. So
it's fine. It's like 9 p.m. here, and that's pretty fine for me.
Okay, all right.
Where are you at?
Good. Zurich, near Zurich, Switzerland.
He's in Switzerland. Pretend I didn't say that.
That's totally cool. I'm with around the world country. I'm at 33 now.
Oh, Wes, you're driving through an area where you could the cell is making you really robotic, so we didn't hear a whole lot of what you said.
I keep track of who I've played with around the world, different countries. That puts me at a new one, 33 for Switzerland. Never played with anybody from Switzerland before.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh,
that's
cool.
Totally cool.
By the way, what does that S stand for?
Oh, the S means it was a secret door. And the reason you can see that is because it's standing open, and actually here there's another one that's also standing open, a secret door that is standing open, that you can tell that when it's closed it just looks like a part of the wall. And this was obviously from when all of the people that went up to come up to you before ran up. But in this area here, let me tell you what you guys see there. This is the barracks. There are a number of spears. There are a couple of extra crossbows there as well. There are foot lockers, and those foot lockers contain several several different items. One of them contains a purse that has 29 gems, and another one contains an ornate chain that looks like a decorative belt, and it has a very large topaz in the belt. The chain looks like it's made of gold, or that belt looks like it's made of gold, and it has a topaz in it. So it's probably pretty valuable. And then the other area that you guys notice is this. And this is a richly appointed office and private room that looks like it's probably going to be where your boy, where your cleric friend hung out. And it's lavishly furnished with thick rugs, wall hangings, soft chairs, a couch, cushions, a dry bar that has wines and liquors, and even dishes of sweetmeats. A brazier warms the place merrily, and there's a sweet, fragrant sense of incense, sweet, fragrant odor of incense in the air. There are silver serving pieces and goblets that look extremely fancy and very valuable. And as you poke around through other items, you see an alabaster box. And then there's also in a drawer in his desk, there are some papers, and there's a string of matched fire opals. And they have, and in between the fire opals on that string, there are little diamond chips in a gold chain. And that also looks extremely valuable.
So
and
what?
like I said, you found some papers as well.
What? Can you read the papers?
Yes, you can. They are written in common.
What are they written about?
Okay. There's a message that looks like it was hastily stuffed into this drawer, and it's written in common, and it says, "Target the fat ones. If the experiments go wrong, I can use the grease from their fat of their bellies and their thighs in rending useful substances for further study. Remember the rhyme that I taught you. 2 leagues south, find the oak with the sign of Y."
Can we get it?
Yes, I'll put it all in the session notes.
Okay.
2 leagues south, find the oak with the sign of Y. Travel an hour toward the sunset, where the failed and their dreams come to die. And it's signed with a capital letter B. And that's where we'll end the session for today.
Okay.
Can I memorize the detect magic spell real quick, for 15-20 minutes, and then cast it on all the stuff we found and sweep the area with it in this little
I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Wes, before you do that, does anybody have a need to jump off right away, or do you have a few minutes to stay on and let Wes do that detect magic so everybody...
I have a few minutes.
Yeah, I do want to stay on and see what happens, but I'm basically in sudden death. I could be called away at any moment, but I'm interested to see what will happen.
Okay, Wes, would you mind if we start there next week and do the
Sure,
detect magic?
that's fine.
Okay, all right. So we'll just start with the detect magic first thing next week, and that way everybody will be able to figure that out.
Perfect.
So, Mark, thank you so much for coming out today and being part of our game. 10, thank you so much for adding so much to our game today with your fun role play. LC, or Wes, thank you so much for being here. Glad you could make it to the game today.
Thank you for running the game. We really appreciate all your work.
Yeah, thank you.
Akio and LC, thank you as always for attending. And then Mark and 10, just send me a direct message or private message through the Discord this week. If you guys want to make up characters, I can get with you one evening this week and we can custom build characters for you.
Could be tomorrow.
Tomorrow I do run a game at 2:30 my time, so by the time I get done with that, it's probably like midnight or 1 a.m. your time, so that may be a little too late for you. But then I get home from work usually 5-6 o'clock my time, which is kind of late. But if tomorrow morning, if you want to do that, let me know.
Yeah, sure.
I should be able to have some time to do that tomorrow morning, my time, which would be tomorrow afternoon, your time.
Yeah, that works.
Thank you so much for letting me play with, just in general, and with all of you. Thank you so much for the wonderful experience. I hope to be in this campaign for a while.
Oh, well,
really fun.
Hey, 10, we're glad to have you. It's fun. Both you and Mark bring a little bit of a younger perspective to the game, and that's great. So we love having that.
Thank you.
And I personally enjoy playing with people from other cultures, learning on their aspect of the game and the way they perceive the game. I say this game is an international thing, and we've had I've actually been in a game where we had an practicing Israeli and a practicing Muslim in the same game together. And they got along They got along fantastic. And we used to joke that if we could get the whole world to play D&D, we could end wars.
Oh.
You got that right. You got that right, Wes. Thank you so much. And thanks, everyone. Lo, appreciate you hanging there with us the entire game. And it looks like we have somebody else also in the chat now, so thank you for dropping by. I have been DM Galaban. This has been the History of D&D. We will be back at noon Eastern Time next Saturday, and we will talk to you all then. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.